All right, welcome everybody to today's training. We're going to talk about fire prevention and how we can be safe for ourselves as team members and for our guests when we talk about fire safety. We do have some learning objectives for today, so please feel free to look at this list. And then next, we're going to look at the course outline. This course will cover fire chemistry, the fire prevention program, fire hazards, preventative measures, emergency response, fire detection systems, fire suppression systems, and portable fire extinguishers, and just a quick summary to wrap everything up. Fire is a rapid oxidation reaction that produces energy in the form of heat and light. Fire requires the three components: fuel, heat, or energy, and oxygen. These three components lead to a chemical chain reaction as rapid oxidation begins. The chemical chain reaction is what most people describe as fire. Removal of any of these components will extinguish the fire, and when a fire burns, the vapor above the fuel is burning, not the liquid or the solid fuel itself. Vapor production is a function of pressure and temperature, and as more heat is generated, more vapor is produced and the fire will grow. The flash point is the temperature at which a liquid fuel gives off enough vapor to form an ignitable mixture. An ignition source is an energy source of sufficient temperature to cause the ignition of a flammable vapor, and common ignition sources include matches, smoking, electrical equipment, and static electricity. The auto-ignition temperature of a liquid has no relationship to its flash point. It is the minimum temperature required to initiate combustion independently of any other ignition source. Third, most programs include how to respond and extinguish small fires. Fourth, employees must receive through thorough training on the program. Identifying the fire hazards in your operation is the first step to developing a formal plan. Conduct a hazard analysis and outline all fire hazards within your plan. Hazards may include the following: flammables, explosive, ignition sources, poor housekeeping, or faulty electrical equipment. Flammable materials present the danger of fire and explosion and often contribute to a toxic environment. These materials include liquids, gases, and solids. Flammable liquids have a flash point of less than 93 degrees Celsius. Flammable gases are flammable in standard conditions, including standard pressure and an air temperature of 20 degrees or room temperature. Flammable solids readily combust or may feed a fire through friction, and the use, processing, or storage of flammable materials is common in many industries, including manufacturing, food processing, construction, and transportation. Any personnel working in a flammable environment must receive training on their safe use and fire response. Combustible solids are powdered, granular, or pasty substances that ignite easily when in contact with ignition sources and rapidly expand the fire. Large amounts of combustible solids may ignite from friction with other solids when dust particles are dispersed in a confined space, and explosions can result. Combustible solids must be handled carefully and not allowed to accumulate. We need to make sure that we're implementing good housekeeping and other controls. Housekeeping is essential for managing the accumulation of flammable materials and combustible solids. We need to remove debris and trash, clean up spills as soon as possible, and dispose of wastewater and waste using proper disposal techniques. In addition, clear walkways facilitate safer evacuation in the event of emergency. Do not allow flammable residues and waste to accumulate in the workplace due to reduced chance of fire. We need to make sure that we're disposing of them properly. Remove and place the following in containers: scraping, used rags, waste paper, and other debris containing flammable or combustible liquids or paint residue. Containers must be FM approved or UL listed, made of metal, equipped with self-closing, sealed metal lids, and properly labeled. They must be emptied at least once per day. Do not keep over minimal quantities of flammable and combustible liquids in your workplace. The greater the amount of these liquids, the greater the intensity of a fire if one breaks out, possibly resulting in severe damage. Examples at the federal level include the following amounts and types of liquids that may be stored in approved storage rooms: over 120 gallons of flammable and combustible liquids in containers, 660 gallons of flammable and combustible liquids in a single portable tank, and 25 gallons of extremely flammable liquids with a boiling point below 100 °F, such as ethyl ether. Please note that the extremely flammable liquids must be in approved containers. Flammable gases are used in many industrial settings, typically in a compressed gas cylinder or storage tank. They are typically pressure vessels to keep them stable in their gaseous form for use, and we need to make sure we're transporting and storing them properly so that way we're reducing fire and explosion risks. The following steps will mitigate electrical hazards that could lead to fires. Our organization must have a detailed emergency response plan, and this plan is in addition to the fire prevention plan. In addition to fires, the plan considers all types of potential emergencies, such as toxic chemical releases or natural disasters. This plan details the following: the actions to be carried out in response to each emergency scenario, step-by-step specific assignments for each staff member, evacuation routes, emergency contact info, and the incident commander who will have the authority to take command of the emergency response. It must be in writing and kept in the workplace and made available for all team members to review. All of this information will be found at the front desk here at the DoubleTree Hotel, and our manager on duty is 24/7, and they will be the ones to help with these specific assignments, and they will be the incident commander until the fire department arrives on scene. The emergency response plan outlines evacuation procedures to follow in an emergency. Escape routes are required for each building, and the plan includes facility diagrams, floor plans, routes of egress, and assembly area. The assembly area is safe for people to take refuge, receive medical care, and communicate. All staff members must be accounted for at the assembly area after an evacuation. We also try to build a relationship with the local fire, rescue, and medical services. They can work with us more efficiently in an emergency if they know our organization and any special hazards. Also, they are a valuable resource for your organization. Invite the local fire department to conduct a walkthrough of your facility to familiarize them with the layout and any special hazards. This can also assist in drills and trainings that we provide. If an off-site fire brigade is deemed appropriate, it must meet certain standards. The firefighting protective clothing and equipment must meet the National Fire Protection Association requirements. Also, the equipment must be properly maintained and inspected at least annually. Training must be conducted frequently to ensure that each brigade member can perform assigned duties and functions with a high level of competence and safety. Training must also be the same quantity and quality as the training conducted by accredited fire training schools. Fire brigade members must know all special hazards, and they must have experience in interior structural firefighting. If an on-site fire brigade is deemed appropriate, it must meet certain standards. The firefighting protective clothing and equipment must meet the requirements. Also, the equipment must be maintained. When we talk about the emergency response plans, we have multiple options for fire alarm system monitoring. Please see below. Fire alarms and detectors must be installed throughout the facility to inform all employees in the facility of an emergency. Devices must meet regulatory standards, and they should be maintained, serviced, and tested regularly, and they need to keep backup devices on hand. Alarms must be recognizable, and they must also be detachable. Auditory alarms must be loud enough to be heard above the workplace noise levels, and visual alarms must be visible above the light levels. Automatic fire sprinkler systems are the most effective method of controlling the spread of fire. There are 4 types of sprinkler systems. These systems are the simplest and most reliable of sprinkler system designs. A wet system has automated, heat-sensitive sprinkler heads, a piping system containing water, and a water supply source. When activated, water sprays down onto the fire. Dry pipe systems are used if the piping is subjected to freezing. The pipes in the ceiling are dry, meaning that they are filled with air or nitrogen under pressure, not water until the system is activated. Then the water source is unplugged, allowing water to flow through. Pre-action systems are installed for locations containing highly valuable contents that accidental water discharges, such as computer rooms and high-tech facilities, would destroy. Pre-action systems are attached to a piping system containing air, which may or may not be under pressure. The pipes fill with water when this first alarm is sounded, then the sprinkler head is open, discharging water if there is smoke or heat in the sprinkler head. Deluge systems differ from most systems in that their sprinklers remain open. When the system is activated, water discharges from all sprinklers. These systems are typically used in highly hazardous areas that require direct water application over the entire hazard. Fire doors are an important engineering control. These doors separate buildings or building sections, exit routes, and stairwells, and they slow the spread of fire, heat, and smoke. They will automatically close once the fire alarm is activated. If an alarm activates, then they must remain closed to prevent the spread of fire, heat, and smoke. Regular preventive maintenance is required. Ratings may be designated by an alphabetical letter by the hours the door can resist fire or both. The alphabetical letter designation for fire doors include 5 different classes. Please see here on the screen. Portable fire extinguishers are used to control or extinguish small or incipient stage fires. They also protect evacuation routes that may become blocked by fire or smoke. The images on the following pages are reprinted with permission from the National Fire Protection Association. Fire extinguishers must be located throughout the facility and readily accessible during a fire. If portable fire extinguishers have been provided for employee use in the workplace, employees must be provided with an educational program. It must include general principles of fire extinguisher use, hazards in the beginning stage of firefighting, limitations of fire extinguishers, and hands-on practice in equipment operation. The decision of whether to fight the fire or flee, called the flight or flee response, is critical. The decision to use a fire extinguisher is a judgment call the trained user must make. The time to make an extinguisher is in the incipient or beginning stages of a fire. If the fire spreads quickly, evacuating or closing non-automatic doors behind you is best. In addition, don't fight the fire if you don't have adequate or appropriate equipment, inhale toxic smoke, or your instincts tell you not to. Before you attempt use an extinguisher, always position yourself with an exit or means of escape at your back. First, we need to talk about how to use a portable fire extinguisher properly by remembering the acronym PASS. We need to first pull the pin that prevents the handle from being squeezed. Second, aim the spray nozzle low at the base of the fire. Third, squeeze the handle, remembering that the standard fire extinguisher has less than 30 seconds of spray time. Fourth, sweep the extinguisher back and forth as you spray at the base of the fire. There are 5 classes of extinguishers: A, B, C, D, and K. Please look at the labels below on the screen to see which one is for which. In summary, take preventative action and create a plan. Identify the specific hazards for your organization and properly store and dispose of flammable or explosive materials. We need to make sure we're using grounding and bonding, and we have to have a detailed written emergency plan and train all staff on their roles in the plan. This includes evacuation routes and steps for reporting emergencies. Put fire suppression systems in place, such as sprinklers and fire doors, and we will provide training on portable fire extinguishers if they are provided. We do have these all around the building of the DoubleTree and Houlihan's. Again, remember the pass method, but they are located all over each floor, especially the first floor of our hotel. Thank you for attending today's training. It was very scientific. It was very logical based with all the definitions, but this is great info to know, so pass it back on to your teams if you're watching. We want to make sure everybody here is safe and they feel prepared. And if you have any questions, just let us know. Thank you and have a great day.